What's up, guys? Welcome to my conversation with your new Shorter University head coach, Andrew Colborn. Shorter reestablishes their program after being gone for a number of years and everything else. First, congratulations on taking the job and welcome to Georgia. I know you're not, I know you're familiar with the Southeast, but welcome to Georgia.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk wrestling and talk about shorter some.
Yeah, that's great. So for people who don't know, actually, before we get to that, before we get into a little bit of background about you, how did you hear about the position? What kind of enticed you about Shorter? What kind of give me some background?
Absolutely, yeah. So I went to college down in North Carolina, so fairly familiar with the southeastern area. And actually, my one of my mentors, Coach Johnson at UNC Pembroke, he actually had reached out to me, and then the athletic director at UNC Pembroke, Mr. Dick Christie, reached out to me as well, and said that they're starting up a program here again, and they're looking for a coach. And a lot of my family lives in North and South Carolina and Georgia, so it was a great opportunity for me to continue to do what I love in coaching wrestling, and also be able to be a little closer to family.
Very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah. So for those individuals who don't know Shorter, right, as an institution,
yeah.
it's a beautiful neck of the woods in Georgia.
Mhm.
But kind of tell us a little bit about the university.
Absolutely, yeah. We're in Rome, Georgia, so we're kind of up in the northwestern part of Rome, or of Georgia. It's a pretty compared to what I'm used to. It's a pretty big city. We have around 40,000 people that live in Rome, so pretty big on the bigger side of things. But yeah, we're like you said, it's a beautiful part of Georgia. It's a beautiful little town here. Great campus. We have around 700 students or so, so not too big, not too small. We are a Christ-centered institution, so our motto is transforming lives through Christ, and that's going to be a big part of all of our athletes' journeys that decide to come to Shorter. And yeah, no, we're building the wrestling program back up again, and really excited to be here and be a part of that growth and that development.
Very cool. Yeah. So I want to talk about the building of that program back up again and again to cue everyone to some history that they may or may not know. Shorter had a program from the early 2010s to about 2017.
2017, yeah.
Yeah, when it was dropped at that moment. And then for the last 7 years or so, they've talked. There's been like little chirpings of Shorter
Hmm.
bringing back a program and those sorts of things, but it wasn't until recently that they reestablished the program. Um, was there? And I don't want to. I have to ask the question because I'm just super interested. A place that drops a program and then reestablishes a program, what was that conversation like for you to know that, the administration's there, they're ready for this to be successful?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, obviously that was a major concern of mine. And in beginning the recruiting process, that's been concerns for parents and potential student athletes as well, which is a very valid concern. But I will say, like I've told all of our potential student athletes that I've talked to and had on campus, we have a lot of different administration now. We have a new president, Dr. Dallas. He was a former wrestler himself, all
Wow.
throughout high school. So he's very. I like to tell everyone I think he's more excited about wrestling than I am, and I'm pretty excited about it. So yeah, Dr. Dallas. We have a new athletic director, or from when the program was dropped before, Richard Hendricks. So they've been very supportive so far, and I think that is going to continue. I think they both are thrilled to have wrestling back, and just kind of, I mean, higher education in general right now is struggling, just with COVID and the hit that it's taken from that. And so I think we're slowly starting to build higher education as a whole back up as we continue with more and more athletic programs. I mean, you're seeing it at least with wrestling. You're seeing it all over the country. A lot of women's wrestling programs
Mhm.
beginning to be added, and you're also seeing these men's programs be added, left and right now. So, yeah, I think that we're very well supported here. I
Mhm.
think that the school itself is in a very good place financially as well. I don't know the exact number, but I know we aren't the first program that has been added in recent years.
Mhm.
They've added quite a few other athletic programs over the last probably 4 or 5 years as well. So, that's obviously a good sign that the school's doing well. They're able to add those programs, and that's obviously just going to draw more students in as well. So, no, I think we're very, very well supported here. Like I said, the administration from the school standpoint, and then also just within our athletic department, they seem very behind wrestling and very behind all of our sports, but
How
especially with the startup here.
how cool is it to have a president who at least, like, I mean, knows the sport?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. When I came here on my interview and we talked, and he told me that he was a former wrestler, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. He can't ask for much more than that. So
Absolutely. All right. So, you mentioned previously that you were at UNCP at the University of North Carolina, Pembroke, as an athlete for a
mhm.
number of years, and then as an assistant coach for a number of years.
Yep,
Most recently, what Davis Elkins, is that right?
Davis and Elkins College. Yep, in West
Yeah,
Virginia.
West Virginia. So you know the D2 landscape pretty well,
Mm,
and I assume that's where Shorter's coming in. They're coming in as a
Yep,
D2 program.
yep.
So, just from an outsider's perspective, of what do you see as the opportunities within D2, especially for brand new programs coming in?
I mean, I think there's unlimited opportunities. I think there's obviously still those goals for high school athletes to go Division 1, but I think in more recent years, high school student athletes specifically are starting to realize that Division 2 is still a highly competitive division. And,
Very.
and it's yeah, it's a very competitive division, and it's not. I think some kids still have that D1 or bust mentality, but I don't think it's as prevalent as it was when I was going to college and 10 years ago or so. So I think as us coming into Division 2, we have a lot of work to do as far as our future competition goes. We're going into Conference Carolinas, so we have a lot of really good teams in that
You
conference.
do, yeah.
A lot of good teams within that region as well, which compiles a lot of that conference. But no, I think the opportunities are endless. I think you're seeing more and more now with Division 1 guys dropping down to Division 2 after they realize that Division 1 is very, very competitive, and not that Division 2 isn't, because it most certainly is, but it's
Right,
not
but
quite as
it's a
yeah it's not
level.
yeah it's
Yeah.
not quite as competitive as Division 1. I think Division 1 has a lot of depth, whereas Division 2, you have some really, really solid wrestlers, really, really great programs historically, but yeah, no, I think the opportunities are endless here. So
Very cool. How much does it help? I know you're going to see them in the future, so obviously it doesn't help in that regard. But having Lander be now a really a top five program for a number of years. You've got Montevallo, who just had a national champion, and they were a brand new program last year.
Mhm.
Um, does that kind of factor into like your sales pitch about why D2 wrestling?
Oh, absolutely. I think I mean, Conference Carolinas had two teams and finished in the top 10 in the country in Lander and UNC Pembroke this past year at the national
Right.
tournament. So that automatically in itself, and then you throw in the Newberry and Emmanuel and Montevello and King, and all these other schools that are constantly qualifying guys to the national tournament and end up placing guys at the national tournament, getting those All Americans through as well. So no, I think that is, I think whenever I was in college and wrestling at UNC Pembroke, this southeastern side of the country was really kind of overlooked almost, if you will, as far as wrestling goes. And I think it's continually grown, and it's only going to continue to grow and continue to get more and more competitive.
Yeah. All right. So I don't want to get into the nitty gritty here towards the end of the interview, but I do want to know, like, how do you? I mean, you take the reins, and there's got to be like 10,000 things to do. Like, I mean, you've got to build a roster. You have to, work on all these different things. I guess question first is, will you guys start this coming fall competing?
Yes. Yeah, we will start in the
Okay.
fall. Yep.
So the timeline is even shorter.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So can you kind of give us a sense of your priorities and kind of what you have to get done to get this team ready?
Absolutely. Well, priority number one is a roster. You can't wrestle, we can't compete without young men here. So, and I will say that's been absolutely crazy in a great way. I've had tons and tons of interest, lots of graduating seniors reaching out, lots of coaches reaching out about their seniors. So, I think kind of a blessing in disguise here was the FAFSA. There's been a big delay with the FAFSA. They were, reprogramming or doing whatever they were doing. That's really put a delay for
Okay.
a lot of the seniors making a decision. So, priority one is definitely a roster, and we've had lots and lots of interest. I've talked to lots and lots of kids, so we're getting there. We're slowly but surely getting there. And then step two is obviously just getting all the necessities taken care of. Wrestling mats, um, practice gear, all that kind of stuff, and really just hitting the ground running with all of that. And my phone reminders app has been a huge help for me and just keeping me on track with what to do and where I need to be and all this stuff. So no, it's been great. It's been crazy, but it's been really great to be a part of this process. So yeah, I mean, roster, and then next really important thing is wrestling mat. You gotta have a place to
Yeah.
practice and to
Facility. Yeah.
compete.
Facility.
Yes, so we're in where the previous wrestling team was. We're
Okay.
in that old gym here. We're getting some mats ordered very soon, and I tell all my recruits that I've had on campus, we got to use our imagination a little bit as I describe where the mats are going to go and kind of the layout of the room because they're not down there yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So
Very cool. Yeah, so the timeline is pretty short and that
mhm.
sort of thing. Obviously, building out the roster is super important. Um, how if someone if a kid were interested in learning more about shorter and the program and everything else, what's the best way for them to do? They send an email? Do they send a tweet? Like,
um,
how
and
do they get in touch? To even learn?
right at this point, anyway is great. An email, my email is listed on our athletic website. We also have a recruit questionnaire on our athletic website. So at the
Okay.
top, if you go over to recruits, you fill out that form, you'll be able to select wrestling. That will actually automatically come to me.
Okay.
Um, we're in the process of building all of our social media accounts. So once we get those built, great way would be to follow and send us a message there. I'm all over social media as well, Instagram, X, all that good stuff. So,
Oh yeah.
if you find me, send me a message there too. So, yeah. Anyway, and we'll make it happen.
All right. Last question, and that would be, the what's the sales pitch you know, to a new kid coming in as far as you get to establish or reestablish a program and why that's special?
I think realizing what was done here in the past, and they've had quite a bit of success with
Hmm.
multiple Americans, and realizing that, and honestly, in a sense, honoring that, and then understanding that that's part of our history now. Yeah, we're reestablishing this program and becoming a new program, if you will, but understanding that we have history here, and yes, we have that history, but we also want to create our own history. And so, I do a lot of, I mean, the reality of it is they have a great opportunity. We have a blank slate as far as a roster goes, as far as a lineup goes. So incoming freshmen, transfers, whoever have a great opportunity to come here and have an immediate impact for us right away. So that's number one, and then two is we're still waiting for that national champion. We want to get that national champion. That's been a long time coaching goal of mine. I've coached a national finalist. I ended up coming a little short when I was at UNC Pembroke as an assistant, um, but yeah, no, I think the big thing is having an immediate impact and then come be the first national champion here.
Very cool. All right,
Yeah.
Coach. Well, I want to wish you the best of luck. I thank you for taking the time to talk to me about Shorter and the reestablishing of the program. Um, and when can we just real quick? When can we expect kind of a like your schedule? When do you know when any of that kind of happens? When we can start kind of paying attention to some of that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually had a small communication from the Conference Carolinas. We're going to kind of reevaluate things kind of mid-May, end of May, and kind of figure that out. Um, but yeah, so maybe end of May is when we'll start to really compile the schedule and get things put out there.
All right. Well, Coach, congratulations on taking the job, and I can't wait to see you guys do great, and I can't wait to see celebrate your first national champion.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me and go Hawks.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.